I'm gonna show you how to make something delicious with your sourdough discard. Today we're making discard crackers. This is unfed, discarded sourdough starter. It has been in my refrigerator for a few days. This recipe is super, super easy, and that's why I like to do this with large amounts of discard. So I usually don't measure for this recipe because it's not super important, but I will leave the recipe below. I have these mostly cleaned out, but I'm gonna let these soak in the sink. I'm not gonna throw them down the drain just like this because this will turn into cement in your pipes. This is probably about 3 to 4 cups of discard. To that, I'm gonna add about a stick of butter, and it's melted, some salt. Whisk that together really well. I'm gonna actually make 2 types of crackers. First one I'm gonna do is everything bagel seasoning ones. I'm gonna use a really large sheet pan lined with parchment paper. The parchment paper is important to make this easier. I'm gonna pour half of it on my sheet tray. I'm just eyeballing this. Now I'm going to spread it across the pan as thin as I can get it. You want this to be like paper thin. The thinner, the crispier they're gonna be. And my discard is kind of cold, so it's a little bit harder to spread. Now I'm gonna show you what these should look like. I think these are thin enough, but look. See how when you hold them up, it's like really thin, and nothing should drip off. These are gonna be the everything bagel seasoning ones. And now these will go into the oven for about 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, it's partially cooked, and that is when you want to cut out little squares. It's not gonna be perfect. And that's what they look like after I cut them. Now these will go back into the oven for another 15 to 20 minutes until they are crispy. All right, they're done. You'll notice that they kind of separate all on their own. And I do not like to leave these on the sheet pan for too long. They could soften up, so I just separate them, and they're gonna continue to crisp up as they cool. So I'm actually gonna transfer these to a paper towel. Try not to stack them on top of each other either, because if they're really hot and they're stacked, they might soften a bit. While those are cooling, I'm gonna get started on the other crackers, and I'm just gonna do cheddar cheese. It's better to use freshly grated, but I don't have that, so I'm using the pre-shredded. And I'm just eyeballing it, but I'm being pretty generous. Gonna mixy mix. It should look like that. Now I'll spread this on the second sheet pan. Into the oven for 10 minutes. They completely cooled before I put them in this bowl. If you find that after they cool, they're not quite crispy enough, you can always throw them back into the oven for like 5 more minutes. And that is how you make discard crackers.